Yes, everyone, how are we doing? And welcome back to the Biased Man City Fan YouTube channel, and welcome to the Manchester City versus Wolves match preview. Should we be worried about Wolves? That is the main question we're asking in this video. That is the title of the video. Should Manchester City really be worried about Wolves? Because to be honest, hand on heart, I fear the worst. I fear the worst when it comes to this game. Look, we're going to get into everything regarding this game of football, who we should be starting, who we should be dropping, the injury situation, the Premier League table situation, just everything regarding this game of football and what it could mean in this video. So look, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, stick a thumbs up on it. Tomorrow, I will be back at the game. The first game I feel like I've been to in a little while. I'll be back at the Etihad. So listen, match day vlog, of course, that's what it means. Whether it'll be a good one or a bad one, I hope it'll be a good one. But the way we're going, who knows? Listen, let's get into this video. So look, should Manchester City be worried about Wolves? Now, not in an arrogant way, but if you'd have asked me this question 3 weeks ago, I'd have laughed in your face. I would have laughed in your face. I'd have had stitches from laughing that hard about the idea of City being scared of Wolves. Wolves this season are probably not anymore, you wouldn't say, on track to be worse than that Derby team, but there was large points of the season so far where they were looking like they might have broke Derby's record for the lowest total of points in a Premier League season in the history of the league. Like, that's how poor Wolves have been this season. We started against them first game of the season. They were our first game away at the Molineux. We battered them 4-0. We thought this is start of beautiful things. Little did we know at the time how poor that Wolves side were going to be. I think they picked up about 8 or 9 points this season, but a lot of them, I mean, a good percentage of them, have been in the past few weeks. Wolves are yet to be beaten this year. Wolves are yet to be beaten in 2026. Their start to 2026, I mean, it went from the day before New Year's Day, they went to Old Trafford and got a result, something that we were incapable of doing. They got a 0-0 draw, or was it a 1-1 draw? They got a draw anyway at Old Trafford. They've beaten West Ham. They've won in the FA Cup, 6-1 against Shrewsbury. I know they're not a great side, but still, I'm just going through the results, okay? I'm just going through the results. They got a draw against Newcastle most recently. They got a draw away at Hill Dickinson as well. I mean, as I said, Old Trafford, Hill Dickinson, drawing against Newcastle. There's some decent results within there. Now, when it comes to Manchester City, we're yet to win a Premier League game this season. We're yet to win a game in the Premier League this season. We've drawn 3 and lost 1. We've dropped a possible 9 out of 12 possible points. Like, things aren't looking good for City in a minute. Of course, coming off the back of a Champions League game, Bodo Glimt. I spoke all about that Bodo Glimt disaster in my match review after that. So if you've not seen that yet, go and give it a watch. Since then, since the match review, since the game's finished and the day's finished, the Manchester City captain group, Erling Haaland, Rodri, Bernardo Silva and Ruben Diaz. Funnily enough, Bernardo and Ruben, 2 of them that weren't even in Bodo, they've all come together, put money together, £10,000, reimbursed all of the fans' tickets for the game. Weirdly enough, as they're always going to be, because people are just miserable and like to pick at anything. There's been some criticism to it. Can you believe that? Players coming together to reimburse fans from a poor performance. There's been criticism over it. People saying, oh, it's only like a minute wage for them, or they could have done much more than that. Listen, they didn't have to do anything. How often do you see that from football clubs where they're reimbursing fans or they're paying for stuff for the fans? It doesn't happen. So I thought it was a classy gesture. Yes, it didn't take a load of work for them. That isn't the point. That's not the point. The thought's there. The classiness is there. And in the statement that they released after it, they said about how they need to react. We know what it means. They know how poor they've been. They bounce back. They've got to bounce back against Wolves and Galatasaray. They're our next 2 games. They're our next 2 games. Both of them at home as well. Of course, this one's all about Wolves. But yeah, the Bodo game wasn't it. We've won, I think, 2 games so far in 2026, which when you think we're only 3 weeks into 2026, but we've played like 7 or 8 games. Like, we've played a lot of football. We've played in all 4 different competitions. So yeah, we're not looking great in a minute. We're playing poor. You know, as far as this 2026 bad run's going, it's getting worse and worse. Like, our last 2 games have been the worst that I think City have had so far this season, not calendar year, this season. So yeah, in complete honesty, like I said, I fear the worst when it comes to this game. And look, a reason for that is I find City to be so predictable at the minute. Now, I've been spending a lot of time on socials, on here, on TikTok and Instagram, defending Pep Guardiola, because I think the reaction to, you know, all this criticism, all being piled on Pep Guardiola, is ridiculous. It's so, you're so reactionary, over the top, whatever. It's pathetic, borderline pathetic, to be honest. But I'd say one small thing that I think you just have to take a little bit of criticism for the players as well. You know, I mean, they're all intelligent, they're all footballers, they're controlling their own body. Pep isn't playing with puppets here, and it's not a game of FIFA or something. Like, they have their own brains. They play the football themselves. We're very predictable. We're very easy to predict. We're not very good on the attack at the minute. You know what I mean? The Haaland's goals have dried up. The chances we're even creating for him have dried up. Cherky's out of form. Foden's out of form. Like, we're not looking good going forward. We give the ball away, And defensively, we look shocking at the moment. So easy to counter-attack, so weak at the back every time. Any team, whether it's United, Bodo, Newcastle, whoever, anytime anyone runs at us, we look like conceding. And listen, I know Wolves, you could look at it and say they're the worst team we might have played since Exeter. They've not got the quality in the team that United do and Newcastle do, or maybe Bodo do. But I don't care. I don't care about the team's quality. I look at our weakness at the minute and how easy we are to get at. And I do fear the worst. I feel like I can just see, Rob Edwards, a very tactical manager, an intelligent coach. He will know that player for player, Wolves wouldn't stand a chance on paper. But we can be got at the moment, especially now more than ever. I can just see City trying to break Wolves down, then putting a low block, putting 10 men behind the ball, and just hitting us on the attack. Hitting us. Hwang Chan, the wingers going at it, whoever, everyone. I can just see them overloading. That Mane looks exciting. I think he's called Mane, isn't it? The Wolves young player coming through. He scored his first Premier League goal the other week, got his Premier League debut the other week. You can just see them punishing us. So, yeah, I do fear the worst. I think we'll win. Of course, I think we'll win. I thought we'll win every game, and I don't think I'll ever come into a game predicting us not to win. But I do worry. We could very easily go there to the Etihad and have all that fire in our belly. Pep give us a proper lift up, and the players know they've got to go out there and smash them and get a big result, get the fans on side and get everyone together and start some momentum again. We could go there and beat them 5-0 with the amount of goals they've let in this season and how poor they have also been this season. Yes, I know they've had a few decent results as of late, but we have seen how easily they can be got at as well. We could go there and batter them, but then at the same time, things would go how they have been going. Pep Guardiola said after the game that he feels like no matter what happens for City, it just isn't going their way at the moment. It's a bit of bad luck. We could very easily go to the Etihad and be punished on the break a couple of times and manage to drop points at the bottom of the league, Wolves. Like, it is that scary, honestly. As I said, a few weeks ago, I would have laughed at you for saying this, but it's just the truth. We've got to be realistic, don't we? Now, listen, I want to bring the mood up a little bit. I've gone a little bit negative already, gone straight into it, but that's just the truth. We're coming off the back of a few negative results. Let's pick the mood up. Let's pick the vibe up. Let's talk about some positives coming to this game. As I said, we've got a lot to fight for. We know the players will know, the fans know, every single person wearing blue and white will know we have got to get a result there. We've got to make a statement. We've got to go and get back to winning ways. Don't care how we do it, whether it's scrappy 1-0, 2-1, or we beat them 5 or 6-0. It doesn't matter. We've got to go there and win. When it comes to the team news, when it comes to the players we've got available, we're looking, I say, a lot more healthy than we were come Bodo. When it came into that Bodo game, there was 11 Manchester City players, a full lineup of Manchester City players who were unavailable for that game. You'd have had to stick an outfielder in net, but still the point stands, 11 players who were unavailable. We're coming into this Wolves game, if we just step aside any injury news, because we don't know anything yet about all the injured players, we look like we could be coming into this game with just 7 players out, which is still a lot of players, but there's 4 coming back. There's 4 back, and I'm going to go into them. Of course, Antoine Semenyo and Mark Gahey, Man City's 2 January signings, going to touch on them 2 in a minute, but of course they were able to play in the Champions League because that's just the rules yet. They can't play until the knockouts is what it is. Bernardo Silva was suspended for that Champions League game. He will be back and available for selection. He's on the front cover of the game as well. Does that mean we're going to get a goal from Bernardo? It means nothing, but still, I hope so. And of course, Matheus Nunes, someone who has been a massive miss for Man City. I've been giving him his credit all season and how I think he's improved and how good he is and how just impressed with him I am. He's coming leaps and bounds in that right back position. He's made it his own. And we've looked awful without him at right back. And I know it isn't just down to Matheus Nunes not being there, but Rico Lewis hasn't been great when he stepped in for him. United, Bodo, everyone, when teams have been running at us, we've looked awful. Now, there were some sick rumours doing the rounds about Matheus Nunes that I'm not going to talk about in here for obvious reasons. I still hope that isn't the truth. You'd expect it not to be the truth, with the latest report saying that he's still recovering from the flu and he's expected to be back for this game. Of course, I'm filming this before Pep Guardiola's press conference. I mean, I'd imagine when it comes to Pep's press conference, he's just going to say, don't know, we'll find out later. That's what he does every single time. But still, if Nunes is in that team, which, as I said, all the reports are expecting him to be back fit, and City are hopeful he's back for then that is, of course, brilliant news for Manchester City. Of course, a former Wolves player, you can imagine he won't get a nice reception, but listen, he won't bother about that. That'll rife him up a little bit. He likes to give it back as well, which I love to see. So I really hope Nunes is back. But that's 7 players. And then on top of that, like I said, Pep's press conference, there's some players like Nico Gonzalez and Oscar Bob who can't be that far off from returning. Surely not. I mean, Oscar Bob's been linked away. We'll see what comes of that. There's less than a week to go in the transfer window now, isn't there? So we'll see what happens, won't we? But yeah, You'd imagine Oscar has got to be back soon. Nico Gonzalez, especially, we all want to be back soon. It was a knock, apparently. It was a knock, what, about a week and a half ago? How big of a knock can it be? Bring him back, get him starting again. I want to see that double pivot of Nico and Bleeding Rodri. You know what I'm saying? I want to see how it gets on. The improvement in Nico's game. Rodri looking a little bit off. It looks like he needs a little bit of help. Some help that he didn't normally used to need. Put them both together. I want to see them both start together. But anyway, that's all if buts and maybe. That's for the minute. But as I said, Gahey and Semenyo, I want to talk about them two now because, as I said, them two were able to start in the Champions League for obvious reasons, the reasons it was given. But Premier League debuts, Manchester City Premier League debuts, I mean, for the pair of them. Semenyo, of course, already made his debut, was brilliant against Exeter, was even better against Newcastle. Wasn't great again. Oh my God, what am I on about? Semenyo's. I meant a home Premier League debut for Semenyo. Doesn't matter. Sorry, silly me. I'm just blocking the United game out of my memory. That's what it is. Just blocking the memory out of the United game. What United game? What about? Doesn't even exist. So yeah, it's a home Premier League debut for Antoine Semenyo, and just a Manchester City debut for Matt Gahey. So I'm excited for the pair of them. I want to see both of them start. I think both of them really need to start with the way that we've been playing, and I mean, especially Matt Gahey, he's got to come straight in. I know he's probably only had one training session with the actual full team, maybe two, depends, I don't know, but definitely one. With the issues we've got at the back, how susceptible we are to an attack, and I mean, he's fit and ready. We've seen it at Crystal Palace. He's playing well as well. Like, I just throw him straight in. Like, we've just got to do what we've got to do. Max Elaine, I don't want to sort of overload or dig in on him because he's a young lad and he was thrown into the deep end. He started off very well at Manchester City, but the past couple of games he's looked weak. He's looked a little bit nervous, panicky on the ball, and at this level, Premier League level, Champions League, teams can smell blood and they will punish. And Max Elaine has been punished these past two games. I'm not saying this is his Man City career over, of course not. But when City is struggling the way that we are, and we have now got a Matt Gahey to come in and who's already fit and ready just to step in, you've got to do it. You've got to pull the plug. Just get it done now. Max Elaine, ease him into the team. Let him train more with the squad. Let him learn, experience more. Bed him in like we would have done if he'd have been brought back when it wasn't a crisis. He'd have been eased into the team a little bit like Kusanov was, a little bit like, well, I was going to say Vita Reyes was, but even Vita Reyes last year didn't get much of a chance. He got the odd game here and there. They'd bed him in slowly. So, yeah, as I said, not to pile in on Max Elaine because he's been getting a fair bit of criticism as of late, after a couple of bad games, but it ain't his fault. He's been thrown in the deep end. He's done as best as he could. And listen, this ain't the end of him. I want to see more of him. But Matt Gahey, he's got to start. I want to see him and Kusanov starting together. And Antoine Semenyo, we've got to see him starting. As I said, United wasn't brilliant for him. Of course it wasn't. But the two games prior to that were incredible. And if we're looking at, we're struggling to score goals at the minute. That's the reality of it. Erling Haaland's out of form. We're struggling at the minute to put the ball in the back of the net. Antoine Semenyo is goals. Yes, Erling Haaland's goals, but his goals have dried up. Antoine Semenyo is still goals. As of late, even since joining Man City, it's goals. Goals, goals, goals. And I think if he starts, he will score against Wolves tomorrow. So get him starting. And to be honest, while I'm on them two, let me just get into the predicted lineup, or at least not the predicted lineup because Pep probably won't go with this, but this is the lineup that I would start. Let's get into my starting 11 for this game. In goal, of course, Gianluigi Donnarumma. I'm hoping for a clean sheet from him. Tomorrow, like these past two games, there's been too many balls hitting the back of the net. To be fair, none of them really down to his own doing. Is that it's the defence is not Donnarumma. Donnarumma's actually been one of City's brightest sparks these past two games, and we've been battered both of them. So sort of shows how poor we've been. But of course, Donnarumma in the starting 11. Should Matheus Nunes be fit, be ready, be available? I want Nunes at right back. I'm just for the sake of my hopes and dreams, I'm just putting it out there into the atmosphere. Nunes will be back. Nunes starting right back, and then I'm going Ryan Aït-Nouri at left back. I didn't think he was brilliant against Bodo Glimt, but he was somewhat out of position. He was playing at right back. I do sort of have the feeling that if Nunes isn't fit, we might play him at right back with Pep testing him out. But then at the same time, I know people are a little bit on a little bit on Rico Lewis's back. But first game of the season against Wolves, Rico Lewis was at right back and he was excellent against Wolves. So who knows? Anyway, I'm getting distracted already. I'd have Nunes at right back, Ryan Aït-Nouri left back, Nico Riley. Just rest him a little bit. I don't know, rest him. Start him against Galatasaray. I'd have Ryan Aït-Nouri. And it'd be a full-back partnership of former Wolves players. So you can imagine either side of the flank, they'll be getting booed. Be funny. Not bothered. Of course, like I said before, the centre-half partnership, Matt Gahey and Kusanov, that's not negotiable. I can't see it being anything else. I mean, he might put in Ake at left back. I don't know, but I wouldn't. Start them two. Pace, power, just complete centre-halves. And listen, as I said, I'm just worried. I'm just worried. I don't know what has happened to me. I'm worried about bottom of the league Wolves. Moving into the midfield, I want the recently suspended Rodri in the team. Listen, I know he's not been great. He weren't great against United. He was really poor against Bodo. Of course, that red card was just stupid. But what option do we have? Mateo Kovacic out injured, probably for the rest of the season. Nico Gonzalez, I mean, if he is back fit, then Pep might play him with Rodri. He might play him instead of Rodri, I don't know. I'd like to see Nico play if he is fit, but I just don't think he will be. You know, if he weren't even fit enough to travel to Bodo a few days ago, how likely is he going to be for Wolves? So I put Rodri in there. We don't have much of a choice. We need a DM in there. We just do. Bernardo's over alongside him, back from suspension in the Champions League. Like I said, he's had a week off. He should be fit, ready and up for it. And then I'd have Ryan Cherki in the middle. Scored a good goal in the Champions League. Didn't start against Manchester United, and a lot of fans wanted him starting. Phil Foden is going to be dropped, which is mental, really, isn't it? Coming from me, and the way I just defend Phil all the time, and the quality that I know is in Phil Foden, and it's sad, but he's out of form. When you've got players like Ryan Cherki's backup, you can't just keep playing Foden. Maybe a rest might do him good. Maybe dropping him might get a good reaction out of him. Who knows? I'm not saying don't play him for the full 90, but bring him on. I wouldn't start him. I don't see a way where you can start him. He's been playing him week in, week out, and I've not been having a go at Pep for it. I've not been blaming Pep for it because, as I said, we all know the quality within Phil Foden. We know how good he is. When he's at his best, he might be City's best player. But when he's poor, he's poor. And recently, he's been poor. So, yeah, I'd go with Ryan Cherki. I think he's got to play in Phil Foden's position. He's got to play in the middle. And then for the wingers, I'd be doing the same wingers that we had for the Manchester derby. Of course, neither of them two played against Bodo either. I'd have Jeremy Doku in at left-hand side, Antoine Semenyo on that right-hand side. We've got a lot of options. I mean, you could also play Phil out wide, Marmoush. Will he be up front? Will Haaland be up front? I'm going to get into that in a second. We've got options out wide now, with Marmoush being back, with Oscar Bob potentially being back from injury. We've got options, but I just feel like a breaking team down, getting goals, the form that Phil Foden's been in, I just want... I'd start them too. There's no worry about it. I think they'll be the best two options that we can have out wide, locking a team down, really breaking in. You know, if Wolves are going to put 10 men behind the ball, which of course they are going to, they're not going to try and turn up to the Etihad and play City at their own game, are they? So I think Doku especially, but Semenyo, the form he's been in, makes the most sense, them two being it. And then this striker option, who do we start? Because this is, I think, the biggest dilemma that a lot of City fans will be having in. And I'm a little bit stuck. I don't know what to do. And I suppose it's a little bit similar to what I said at the start of this video. If you'd have said to me that we'd be having a dilemma over should we drop Erling Haaland for when he plays against bottom of the league, I'd have thought you were insane. Like, I'd have laughed at you. I'd have thought, what are you on about? Like, the guy will score about 10 goals, but his goals have dried up. I think he scored 1 in 7, 1 in 8, something like that. He's not scored an open play since before Christmas. He's struggling at the moment. He's struggling. And you've got someone in Omar Mamouche who's back. And listen, I don't think was given enough time pre-AFCON. I'm hoping to see more football from him post-AFCON. He had a decent tournament. I think did they get knocked out in the semis or quarters? I'm not too sure. I think it might have been quarterfinals. But he's been back, and I don't know. It's a little bit like I said about Phil Foden. It's like there's only so much you can say. Okay, he's got to start because you know how good he is. He's got to start because you know how good he is. When you've got like a Ryan Cherki coming through behind saying, why am I not starting? You could say the same for Marmoush. Marmoush could be looking at that with a form. I know he's not been here for a lot of Erling Haaland's poor form, but with Haaland's form as of late, Marmoush might be looking at knocking on the door going, what is going on? When am I going to get my chance? Why am I not starting? And there's a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people that would be starting Marmoush for this game. And I just don't have the bottle to drop Erling Haaland. And that is the reality of it. It's a little bit like what I said about, when it came to Derby Day. I didn't have the balls on me to drop Phil Foden for a Derby Day. I just don't have the bollocks to drop Erling Haaland. And it's as simple as that, especially against the Wolves. You can look at it either way. Now, I'm going to defend the reason I would start Erling Haaland, but then I will make a counter-argument against myself because there's no one else here. I'll make a counter-argument against why I wouldn't start him. But the reason I personally, in the decision that I would make, is to start him. The fact he's struggling, this will be a great opportunity. This will be a great opportunity to get goals back in his body, get goals back in his system, get him feeling good again, get him feeling that confidence again. We know he's a mentality monster. We know he's ruthless. We know that he will be more annoyed than any of us combined. We know how important his football is, his records is to him. We know, and he feels it. He shows his emotion on the pitch. coming up against a Wolves side who, on paper, we should be beating relatively comfortably. You know, they've conceded an awful lot of goals this season, a silly amount of goals. He's got a great record against Wolves. This is a great opportunity to get him firing, get him going again. And I'm not saying playing the full 90. I'm saying, listen, if we go into 60th minute 2 or 3 goals up, which, I mean, a few weeks ago, it isn't ridiculous to say. I know I sort of do this every single game, despite how poor City have been, but still, it isn't ridiculous to say, because less than a month ago, we'd have been looking at this saying, oh, it could be a cricket score. If City by 60th minute have been clinical, we've took our chances, and we're not struggling the way that we are, or the way that we're panicking we might be, take him off, bring Marmoush on, I'm all for it. Or even start Marmoush out wide and put him up top and bring Semenyo on or Doku on, or you can put Semenyo up top. We've got options now. We've got a lot more options. Semenyo, being how versatile he is, so unique he is, it's another option. And Marmoush being back, it's a good time. I just feel like, yes, don't play him the full 90, but get goals back in his system, get him feeling good again, and just give him a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a push to go and knock in a few against Galatasaray, because that is equally just as a big of a game. You know, trying to get through to that round of getting in the top 8 to the round of 16 for the Champions League, not having to mess about in the round of 32 is massive. If we have a good Erling Haaland, a fit Erling Haaland, a confident Erling Haaland, a firing Erling Haaland off the back of a couple of goals, a brace, a hat-trick, whatever it may be, for that game on Wednesday, that'd be huge for us. So I'd like to see him start. I'd like to see him knock a few goals in. But at the same time, counter argument, he's not been good enough. He's been poor. He's not been given as many chances. Fair, I think that's a fair argument. He's not been put in, the quality's not been there, feeded to him. He's making runs that aren't being played through. And he's visibly getting annoyed at that as well. And what I said about Phil Foden, maybe dropping him, might get a good reaction, might get a fighting reaction, that he turns up and goes, right, I need to be the man now. I need to get knocking goals in. If he's brought on last 10 minutes and gets a goal, it might be a sort of like, yeah, that's why you don't drop me moment. You know what I'm saying? But I think Pep's got a dilemma in his hands here. And it's another one of them where no matter what we do, no matter the scoreline, no matter who he starts up top, there's going to be people either side that'll be saying, why is Pep doing this? Pep out, blah, blah, blah. Pep's silly. He don't know what he's doing anymore. Why is he dropping Erling Haaland? Look at the goals he scored this season. Yeah, he's done a bad run, but how can you drop the most prolific scorer in world football? And then if he starts Erling Haaland and the guy doesn't do any business, oh my God, why is Marmoush not starting? It's so unfair in Marmoush. Why is Marmoush not getting more game time? He should leave Manchester City and so should Pep. You know, all the odds are stupidity. Right? Pep won't be able to win this game. No matter the lineup he puts out, people are going to complain. I just hope, regardless of the lineup he puts out, we can get a win. As I said, I don't care how we do it. I don't care if it's by the scruff of the neck and it's a last-minute winner and it's just scrappy doing. We've just got to deal with it and try and still get a win against Galatasaray, and we're still going to be worried about the performance. All right, if we win 6-0, win 5-0, win comfortably, whatever it may be, I don't care. As long as we leave the pitch, as long as I leave that football stadium feeling a weight of world off my shoulders, never mind the players on the pitch, as a fan sat in South Stand or stood in South Stand thinking, whoa, we finally won a game at last, wow. Then that's all that matters at the end of the day. That is all that matters. And I think it's important for the Premier League title race as well, because despite the fact we've managed to drop 9 points out of our last 12 possible ones, you know, we've technically lost 3 games out of 4 because draws only count for 1 point. We've picked up 3 points. It counts as 1 win and 3 losses technically. In another way, if you understand what I'm trying to say. We somehow are still within this title race. Yes, game by game, it seems to be sort of, we're making hard work for it ourselves, but somehow Arsenal are just letting us stay within, like, not touching distance, but like we're still there. We're still somewhat behind them. They can still see us. Yeah, we're a little bit further behind, 7 points behind now, but if they look back, we're still behind a shoulder. And if we get things right soon enough, whether it's Wolves, whether it's Tottenham, whether it's Anfield, I mean, that'll be don't want to think about that yet, but if we start getting things right sooner rather than later, there's no reason we can't chase them up. There's no reason. And it sounds mental because the way that we've been playing lately, the points that we've been dropping, this title race should be as good as over. It should be as good as over. But they have let us be in this position now where we can still look at it and go, we shouldn't win it. We don't look like we're going to win it. But I'm not saying we can't win it. You know, we've just got to start picking up points. And you look at the Arsenal game, of course, we play Saturday 3 o'clock. They play Sunday R4 against Manchester United, the scum that turned us over in our last Premier League game. I mean, if they put in a performance like they did against us, they can beat Arsenal, definitely, for sure. You know, I don't even think Arsenal have been playing that well as of late. They were good in the Champions League against Inter Milan, but last few Premier League games, I don't think they've been great. They can be get at as well. And if they set up the same and punish Arsenal the way that they punished us, because they did put the ball in our back of the net 5 times. Like, let's be honest, they battered us. they can get a result at Arsenal. Do I think they will? No, of course I don't. I've got no faith in them to do it. They turn up against us, guarantee watch. They'll lose about 3 or 4-0 to Arsenal, and it's just typical United, isn't it? But for 1 game, 2 games a season, it's one of them where you go, I hope United do us a favour. I hope United actually pick up some points, which is sickening to say, but it just is. It's all different to maybes at the minute. There's no point going overboard into it. But yeah, I believe is everything I wanted to touch on in regards to this game. Should we be worried about Wolves? Are you worried about Wolves? Let me know in the comments. I mean, it's mad to think that Wolves have picked up more points than us already in the Premier League, in 2026. After a fair few, it's not like 1 or 2 games you look at it and go, and a technicality. Like, no, they've played, 4 or 5 games and they've picked up more points than we have. It's ridiculous. But you put it right tomorrow, 3 o'clock, Etihad Stadium. The players know they've got to be up for it. Us fans have got to be up for it. Keep the faith. Keep behind the boys. It's a tough time at the minute, but tough times don't last. Only tough people last. Only tough players last. Only tough managers last. And they have lasted over the past decade. We've been there before. We've had worse runs than this. I mean, last season, we won 1-13. Like, it has been worse as of late as well. So, keep the faith, as I said. Get behind the boys. Let's hope for a big win tomorrow at the Etihad Stadium. Let me know your early score predictions in the comments. As I said, the title, as I've said in all here, are you scared for Wolves? Let me know in the comments. How do you think the game will go? Tomorrow, matchday vlog will be out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'm aiming for 1,000 by the end of the season. We need like 250 more. A little bit far away yet, but still, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. As I said, keep the faith. Come on, City.